But let's start out with America's lawyer, Mike Papantonia, host of Ring of Fire Radio, ringofireradio.com. And Pap, welcome.
Tom, how are you?
Great. Thanks for joining us today. So you've been looking at the price of oil?
Yeah, I think it's an important story. You know, people pull up to the gas station, they put in fuel that costs $2.50 a gallon, and they say, great, but nobody's realizing what's happening here. I mean, you know, we all want a deal. We all want to say, yeah, that's a great deal. But you also have to kind of ask questions. You have to be interested enough to maybe ask tough questions. Why is this happening? And so the theories that are out there, I think, need discussion. I mean, the most prominent theories are that fracking has helped create this glut of oil on the market. That's one part of it. The slowing Chinese economy and uptick in alternative energy, those are things, of course, that figure in. The American public's buying more fuel-efficient cars. They're driving less. And very important is that OPEC is sabotaging both the fracking industry and, this is what everybody's not, the move to alternative energy by creating this glut on the market. When people don't have to pay a lot for fuel, they go out and it's like they have the memory of a gnat. They go out and they buy the big gas-guzzling SUVs until the next oil crisis. But if you spend some time online, you're going to find endless op-eds about this issue. But it's almost, if you ask 10 people, what do you think's going on here? They don't even have an opinion.
Yeah. There's one other possibility, too. Back in March of last year, there were a series of articles in the New York Times over about a week-and-a-half period that we talked about at some length on the air at that time, where Dodd-Frank's commodities trading provision kicked in February or March of 2014. And that month, J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, there was like 4 out of the 5 big banks sold or dissolved their commodities trading divisions. And so, you know, and Bernie Sanders had been saying 40% of the price of oil and gas right now is being skimmed off the top by the banks speculating.
Yeah.
So what I was suggesting on the air was that, you know, okay, most of these contracts, the highest percentage of these contracts are 6-month contracts, and then the rest of them are 12, you know, by and large, 6-month and 12-month. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens to the price of commodities 6 months from now and what happens to the profitability of these the big New York banks. And sure enough, 6 months later, the price of oil started to collapse as these contracts started to unwind. And I don't know if you've noticed, but in the last 2 quarters, the banks have not been profitable.
Yeah,
or as profitable.
Well, that was a good projection. I've heard the theory out there. To add to that, Tom, think about this: the fracking industry is all pumped up with. I think it's like $200 or $300 billion in bonds. Okay.
Yeah, the junk
in order
bonds.
to frack the bond, you've got to have money for the fracking industry. So, are we now going to see another bubble? Are we going to see another tech bubble where all this bond money is out there and they just simply can't make the payment on the bond?
Or are they going to default on those bonds, and will that bring down the economy?
That's exactly the question.
Because that's what happened with junk bonds just before the last big stock market crash in 2008, was the junk bond market collapsed about 3 months before the larger market did.
Right. And if you build that much money around fracking and you've got OPEC trying to destroy fracking, there's no question that's what they're doing. They just want to, they want to crash fracking, and they can do it. Yeah. I mean, the numbers don't add up. If you think about this, fracking needs a they need to make $75 per barrel just to break even.
Right.
Now, right now, you have oil that is going to be, even if it starts rising, it's 50 to 60 a barrel. They still don't break even. And so you've got these fracking sites that the other part of the problem is they have a 3-year usability life. In other words, you get most of your oil the first year, and then that's it. And then the frackers say, well, what about natural gas? Well, even with natural gas, if you take a look at it, natural gas, $13 is what it used to get per BTU per million, and that's dropped to $3. So I mean, it's all lining up for exactly what you just said, and that is some bit of a crash. And of course, the OPEC group would be delighted to see that. And I think that's kind of where we're headed with this. But I'm always amazed at people not saying, "Well, what's happening here?" They go to the gas station, they fill up, as if there's no tomorrow, as if they say, "Well, okay, I'm going to go out and buy that big SUV because things are really great now," without ever understanding what's really happening.
Right. And meanwhile, now we're seeing all this evidence coming out that maybe the big dog in OPEC, Saudi Arabia, was backing Al Qaeda before 9/11, and that's including Moussaoui named the guy who was the second largest stockholder in Fox News up until the middle of last year, Prince Talaweed or whatever you say.
Tom, Ron Motley, who's been a friend of mine for a very long time, he's the lawyer who initiated the lawsuit against the Saudi Arabia for 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah, he has.
That's the one where all this stuff is coming out.
That's exactly right. So Ron Motley, he died last year, as a matter of fact, and the stories that he would tell about what was going on, investigators that would be sent into Saudi Arabia that would simply didn't know where the hell they ended up. The documents are almost overwhelming, Tom, and we've ignored Saudi Arabia's involvement in this, and now finally, witness who has no reason to say what he's saying is saying, yeah, absolutely, Saudi Arabia not only was part of the financing, they were part of the plan. They were part of the infrastructure to kill 3,000 innocent Americans in the Twin Towers. And that juxtaposed with the picture opportunities that we've seen over the years with George Bush holding hands and going through the ceremonial kisses, and now Obama declaring what a great loss it was to us to have the king die. It's a little nauseating, really, once you start seeing the backstories to all this.
Yeah.